Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a Spright deck profile post the ban list that just was announced, namely the Spright Elf ban. I know I did say in a previous video that I was not going to be touching Spright for a little while, but I couldn't help myself. As soon as the ban list happened, I just wanted to see what I guess options there still were for the deck. So I kind of wanted to have a play with the deck a little bit and just see what it can do. So this list is going to be a pure list. I know there's going to be a much better chance of something like the Runic Spright or even potentially the Gishki Spright, being better, but pure is the build that I like the most. And I don't own any of the Runic cards, so that wouldn't be an option at this stage anyway. So I'm going to profile what I've currently got for Spright post the ban list. It is certainly not optimized, I would say, and the hand trap lineup, for example, is fairly generic, just to represent the slots that I do have. So I'll get straight into the main deck first. There's a lot of very straightforward dings. Obviously the main deck hasn't really lost anything. It was just the elf that was banned. So we are on, of course, the 3 blue, the 3 jet. I'm currently trying 2 red and a carrot. I could argue a second carrot instead of the second red or something along those lines. But it's just additional names because we're not playing totally awesome. So the negate power comes from Spright red and carrot, but otherwise we're not really making negates. And I think the carrot is more important because there's a very good chance that the cards that people are going to be playing in their main deck as far as non-engine could be more along the lines of board breakers, which are mostly in the forms of spells and traps. So carrot is arguably the one that could be better, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm currently going to red 1 carrot just to respect Nibiru just a little bit more. And I'm currently not playing a Smashers. You would side it certainly, but I'm going with double cross for now because the thing that you've lost in Spright is the recursiveness. So my logic would be, if you were going second, you're not going to search the Smashers, you'll search starter. Obviously the game style is very different if you're going, the play style is very different if you're going second, but starter represents follow-up. Double cross represents follow-up also, but it also can represent no disruption. So the kind of board that I'm playing towards is a board that does have flexibility in that the things that it ends on can be follow-up, but they could also be disruption depending on what you need them to be and what your opponent is doing as well. So this is the current Spright lineup. Certainly it feels weird without a Smashers. Just that kind of spot removal is crazy. So that would be kind of the first thing I do, even if it was just to get rid of the red and put a Smashers in, to go back to a very standard kind of lineup. But I think the double cross, for me at least, I want to try and main it just as an option for going first, as obviously you'd much rather get this over Smashers. And then the other big benefit is that double cross under Shifter or a Rise Heart, for example, is much stronger than Smashers because Smashers will have to banish from hand, which is not ideal. The supporting cast is very similar. Beaver, Angler, Prosperity, these are all cards that I've been playing for a long time. Wouldn't really change these. But then what I'm currently testing is Gale, Dogra, and Schism as kind of my gigantic Spright win con. So if you think back to, pre the ban list, the gigantic Spright win con, I suppose, the big thing that you summoned off gigantic Spright was Swap Frog. Swap Frog also had the benefit of, being able to pitch Angler, but I don't know, I feel like there's potentially too many hoops to jump through. I'm not a huge fan currently of the Boojin Link 2, which allows totally awesome plays. I don't know if we should be just trying to play towards Toad. I mean, Toad is a great card, certainly, but I mean, you're not reviving it twice on your opponent's turn unless you use double cross. So, yeah, I'm currently not going near it. I'm going to test Dogra into Schism, which obviously sets up Winder. The other option would be, and it doesn't take 2 slots, would be just Nightmare Corruptor Ibli. Obviously with the Bystials, hopefully stepping out of favor a little bit. You can't just tribute summon over the Ibli. It also prevents the Kashtira's from summoning, for example, Fenrir Unicorn, by obviously blocking up their zone. But this is the first thing I'm testing, and obviously could test Ibli in the future. Just as another kind of little win button there. It's an easy side out going second as well. Then the rest of the deck, I've got 18 slots for hand traps. So don't think of these as what they are currently. This could be board breakers. This could be hand traps. It could be different hand traps to what I'm currently playing, but it's just indicative of 18 spots. So I'm not too worried about what they are, but it's just 18 spots for non-engine. So for example, Nibiru, I think I really want to play Ash, just specifically for branded. I know about my locals in particular, branded's pretty popular, but definitely could see an Uprising. Effect Valor could also be Ghost Mourner. Gonna main 3 Bystials, for example. It's just showing what could be done. Talent is just generically good, Imperm generically good. So, Nib, Valor, Imperm is a pretty good kind of combo. Yeah, just 18 slots though. So these could be whatever. Could be Book of Eclipse. Could be the other thing I've considered. Could be like Book of Eclipse, but then you could also have Cypher Key Gamma. So that kind of plays around the Ash Blossom too for the Book of Eclipse. But anyway, 18 spots. The extra deck, this is where I'm not sold on some of the decisions. I think I'm really happy with 2 Sprind. This is more, now that we don't have Elf and Gigantic, I would have said that Sprind is not necessarily, didn't really have a target on its back when you had Elf in your extra deck as well. But I think with Sprind being the only kind of, what you always play as a 1-of, and it's a pretty big starter play for the Anglers and the Beavers. So I'm playing 2 for now, and then playing 1 Dark. And currently that's the only Link monsters I'm playing. It doesn't feel right, but currently that's just what we're looking at. I've only kind of put this together fairly quickly, and I want to just test it before I start making changes. But 2 Gigantic, that's standard. Mannequin Cat is a pretty key piece of the end board. And then I'm not doing a side deck today, but certainly you could side more specific tech pieces for Mannequin Cat. Obviously I'm not maining any, and well, I'll talk about it now while I'm here, that the reasons for that is that most matchups are going to feature a Dark Monster, and in that case Mannequin Cat is representing follow-up, because I'm using this as my key follow-up piece, as opposed to what Elf was doing, because the Mannequin Cat will bring out Jet, for example, and then Jet searches your starter, which gives you the 2 bodies going into the next turn. Against Kashtira, you could side something like Chaos Hunter, but then also for Shifter. But then the other thing Mannequin Cat do is, because they do play a couple of fires. You could use it to bring out a red or a carrot, for example. Arise Hard as a dark, so that gives you access to blue and Jet. But otherwise, if you can think of any other targets for Mannequin Cat, especially if there was one that could be main decked, let me know. Maybe even like Ghost Ogre could be a 1-of Ghost Ogre. I don't think that sounds good, but could be a target for Mannequin Cat as a hand trap anyway. Gin Buster, just because it says negate, and without Toad, again, we're not really, we don't have many interruptions as negates. Only Mario, I wouldn't play without it. This should just be the Mosquito guy, which I still haven't picked up for whatever reason. Downed Magician, and then 2 Zeus. So it's just, again, trying to dissuade them from hitting the Zeus. So we've got Zeus, Gigantic, Sprint. So there are kind of big cards that we want to see. So Unicorn hitting 1 of those is okay. And then I'm on 3 fusions. Garuva is just a card that you can dump off the Dogra. It's probably greedy, really, and it's probably not worth a spot. It also conflicts with Prosperity, so this is certainly a spot that could be changed. And then Apclone Winder is what sets up Wind, obviously, because you dump Apclone with the Galdogra to get access to Winder. This loses to Abystial, but again, going first, or game 1 at least, the Bystials hopefully we'll see less play, and Bystials have not historically been the greatest versus Spright. I mean, they've got some use, but especially in this kind of version of the deck that I'm playing now, and I'm going into Gigantic first. So this is certainly a cuttable slot. But otherwise, if you have any ideas for the extra deck, let me know, because I think it's probably the part of the deck that I'm the least sold about. But I will show you just the basic combo that you can do really quickly, and then do a couple of testing. Okay, so the 1-card combo could be accomplished with Starter, could also be accomplished with Nimble Beaver. It's just 2 bodies. So effectively what we're going to do is we go Starter. Now the combo is better with Starter because you do get the double cross, but we're going to Starter for blue. We're going to blue for Jet, and we'll Jet for double cross. So there's free interruption. We're going to overlay. Now keep in mind we do have 4 other cards in hand, so obviously if we open a blue or a Jet, we can Starter for an interruption like the carrot or red. I don't mind starting for carrot, and again, if we have other things that we can do, like if we've normal summoned as well, we can kind of play around Imperm, or we don't have to worry about playing around Nibiru. Imperm, probably the biggest thing that I'll be trying to play around, so I usually prioritize going for carrot if I have a surplus of bodies. So if I can get carrot and another body, then that's pretty good, just to kind of allow Gigantic to go through. But realistically, even from this point, obviously if Gigantic gets negated, we lose the Winder access, but we only need 1 more body to still kind of combo a little bit more. But look, assuming all goes well, Gigantic, we're going to summon out Galdogra. Okay, Galdogra is going to pay the 3,000, and it's going to send Garura first. I'll do it this way first, because remember we've got 4 other cards in hand. Garura is going to draw a card, okay, and then we're going to Galdogra again, and we're going to send Apcalone. Apcalone's effect is going to add Schism, and then sends a card from hand to the graveyard, or discards a card. And again, for the purpose of this, I'll just discard that +1 we got there. So we've still got 4 other cards in hand. Then we link Dogra and Gigantic into Sprint. Okay, and we're going to be leaving Sprint on the end board because Sprint's second effect is a pretty solid disruption too. And then summoning Sprint in this way, which is one thing I kind of enjoy about the fact that Carrot, that Elf is a band, is that it kind of forces you to play this way. Certainly in the previous format, I didn't ever respect Nibiru, so we'd always go Sprint first, Sprint into Gigantic, and then Gigantic into Elf. But then this little interaction you don't get. So Sprint, dump Angler, summon Beaver, and then it's really cool because then summoning Sprint just equals Sprint plus Xyz monster, which of course is going to be Mannequin Cat. And we're going to set out 2 cards. So obviously there's 4 other cards in hand. In a deck of 18 hand traps, this could be a lot of things. But this end board here is pretty cool. It's pretty unassuming, but I think, again, backed up by hand traps, I think it certainly is decent for now. Testing, we'll see if it really is good, but I don't mind the end board. The other thing that this build kind of can do a little bit better is play Shifter. If that is relevant, I probably would certainly side Shifter at this point. Obviously you don't get access to like the Angler line in this case, but you can certainly set up, you're certainly already designed to do Mannequin Cat plays with double crosser, so that's already good things under Shifter. So you don't have to fear Shifter too much in this deck. But what this board looks like, double cross and Mannequin Cat, so both represent disruption or follow-up. Mannequin Cat, again, depending on what your opponent is playing, if they've got fires, Mannequin Cat can summon out red or carrot during their opponent's turn. So I believe the obviously the Shangri era is a fire, but also the Kashtira Rise Heart is a fire. So if they, once they summon that, you can use Mannequin Cat to summon out Jet. But also we've got double cross. So again, it just really depends. I mean, double cross can also summon out Jet, but double cross can also be an interruption itself. Sprint is a disruption because we have Mannequin Cat. Mannequin Cat doesn't ever detach materials on your opponent's turn, so these are just cards that can freely be detached. So this is a bounce. We've got a steal or a summon back. We've got Schism, so Schism will be banishing out. Let's say, Apcalone and Garuba. This is the part that does lose to Abystial. But again, if you've managed to get Carrot to the field, Red to the field, I mean, you can obviously negate that. And then Schism's going to put Wind on the field. The other thing to consider is that, again, if things like Book of Eclipse are going to be really popular, then Wind is not fantastic. But also neither is really the Ibli. I mean, the Ibli still shuts down the Fenrir from summoning or the Unicorn from summoning, but it still does lose to Book of Eclipse in that regard. So just a consideration. Could be Winder, could be the Ibli. I mean, I guess if I'm weighing up pros and cons, I would say that in general, perhaps the Winder is stronger, I would say. But then it costs, 3 extra deck spots, a second main deck card that can be prevented. Yeah, there's pros and cons both ways. But this is kind of the end board. Like I said, Double Cross can summon back a Jet from grave, or Mannequin Cat can pull out a Jet from deck, depending, and then the other one can kind of be a disruption if that's possible. We would rather Mannequin Cat be the disruption, the follow-up, if our opponent's playing a Dark, which 95% of the time they are, and then Sprint is also the bounce, as I mentioned. So that's kind of just the one card kind of combo, and I'll just do a couple of very quick test hands just to show the balance between engine, non-engine, and what you can do. Okay, so we'll just do some really quick test hands. I won't really play them out. Spright combos are pretty straightforward, you would say, these days. The only difference is we're not really doing Toad, we're summoning Winder. So really quick, we've got Imperm, Dogra, Ash, Tactics, and Tactics. So this hand is awful. All right, no two ways around it. It's pretty terrible. Obviously, we could go something like normal summon Gale Dogra. We definitely have to send 2, so we'll play it out hypothetically just to see if we draw something good off Gale Dogra. But we'll Garuba, draw a card. It's a Bestial, which, hey, that's actually not too bad. And then we'll do the thing. We'll get rid of Apcalone, Search Schism. But really, obviously, one interruption on the Gale Dogra there, and we just lose. But we certainly will have plays here, especially during the Druisworm there, because now we can at least summon it. We'll banish the Garura. The Druisworm will still just be a Dark for us for Winder. I'll get to discard a card. We'll get rid of the Tactics because we've got the doubles. We'll link into Sprint. We'll get our Sprint effect. Dumping Angler, summoning Beaver. And then we'll go, could probably keep Sprint, because then Sprint will equal a disruption with Gigantic. So then we'll declare Gigantic. And we'll go blue. Go blue for Jet. We'll go Jet for Double Cross. Hey, drawing that Druisworm has made this a lot better. And these two we can overlay for. Well, again, it could be Mannequin Cat here. We also have Gin Buster. Yeah, either one. We can go there. Mannequin or Gin Buster. Gin Buster in game 1 we don't know what opponent's playing. Gin Buster's probably just generically better in this case because we can actually make it. And then we've still got the Gigantic with the Sprint. And then we've got, we've got Schism, we've got Double Cross, we've got Imperm, we've got Ash, we've got Talents. So that ended up being so much better than it originally started. It was just going to be Winder Path, but we now have Winder plus all of the rest of it. So I won't play out all of them. I just wanted to see if we could draw a card to make that one better. But that was the first one. It ended up being quite successful. So having a handful of non-engine, obviously good if you can still play the game. But it was looking pretty disastrous initially. we've got Nibiru, Ash, Blue, Beaver, and Nibiru. Okay, so this is pretty nice. Beaver into blue is pretty good. Certainly is going to get combo. The thing we can obviously do here is, yeah, no, we'll just have more bodies there. So that works out really well. What we could even do is the blue into Jet could represent a Gin Buster at the end, because the Beavers will still get, or the normal summon Beaver does the rest of the combo, but obviously it's not accounting for interruptions for our opponent's end. Well, Angler and Jet, that's 2 bodies. That does the combo, and then Jet will still grab Double Cross with 3 other interruptions there, so still very nice. And I guess that's the benefit of being able to play 18 hand traps. And I think with 18, I mean, I don't mind playing hand traps, so less not necessarily as board breakers. Just because, you know, you can fire them all going second, or as extra disruptions to your end board. So 3, 4, 5. Okay, so Prosperity could represent another hand trap to add to the mix, because starter in blue is already pretty good. Ash on starter will be pretty terrible. And then we're obviously going to be relying on Prosperity to find us a normal summon, so we can at least summon blue and then combo off from there. Okay, so that was probably a good hand, provided that starter didn't get stopped. We've got Jet, Prosperity, Avela, Vela, and Tactics. So this hand does rely on Prosperity getting us there. Obviously, I mean, Prosperity can get Ash, but I don't think anyone's really going to Ash Prosperity, and Talents punishes that too. Especially in this format, I guess Talents is going to be everywhere, but we need Prosperity to hit a normal summonable monster. Just hypothetically, there's 1, if we went for 6 straight off, 4, 5, 6. And again, we could choose what we want to get here. I mean, taking Carrot could be okay, but we're just grabbing Starter. No, we take Starter certainly, because then it's Starter for blue, blue for Carrot, summon Jet, and then we've got the Carrot to kind of assist in playing around Imperm. Last one, Prosperity, Angler, Nibiru, Tactics, Blue. Okay, so we've obviously got normal, special, and then Prosperity can help dig for other things if we get interrupted at some point. But yeah, that's the first kind of just draft, I guess, of this deck. Certainly not optimized by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly the deck has plays and is not dead. Which I know there's a lot of people kind of saying, oh no, the deck is dead, but definitely you can do a lot still, I think, with Spright in this upcoming format. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and feel free to leave any feedback in the comments below. Thanks.